history buffs. Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Freedom of future.
A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls.
To the encampment for freedom of future.
For liberty. This is what American patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty.
The hour our liberty is at hand. For freedom is proper. Secure our liberty. My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
Welcome to my colonial home. Today, Del Payne 2 Word captures the spirit of we fight for independence. And our freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Hour is late. We must enact. To the encampment for liberty. Soldiers, the enemy is near. Front line, framing.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Wednesdays. I will be your host. It's Mia, not Maya.
I'm Gray Mars.
I'm Skeptic.
Oh, come on.
So we have 3 cases we're going over. Super random question. Can you guys hear me? I feel like my internet's a little laggy.
Yeah, you're lagging. We can hear you though.
All right, hold on. Does it get a little bit better?
Your audio was good. It was just your video was just lagging.
Yeah, your audio was good the whole time.
Interesting. Well, let's hope it gets better. I'm not sure what to do because I guess I'm hosting. So normally I would just drop myself and get back in, but I don't know if I can do that since I'm hosting. I don't know how that works. Gray, am I able to drop myself and come back in?
Yeah, sure. You want to just play a video or something?
Yeah, so I'm going to play this video. So we actually have a family annihilator. His name is Alan Smith. He's a 44-year-old white man because they're never beating any stereotypes when it comes to shooting people and their families. They're beating 0 stereotypes. So we have Alan Smith, Billings, Montana. He killed 8 of his family members on a Sunday dinner, if you can imagine.
Sunday night in Billings, Montana. The alleged shooter was part of that same family. His name was Alan Smith. He was 44 years old. A family member says Smith had been living with his parents.
Oh, well, I guess that took it completely out. I guess I'll go on X and try to find what she was talking about.
Yeah, I think because she's the host, so whenever you drop down, it takes away all the videos because you're sharing from your thing.
So I want to say that that's the case that somebody had sent to me earlier today, where he was like an older guy living with his parents, and I guess his parents were like done with him. He would just play video games all day, and they kicked him out. And then they got together on Sunday. It stopped playing the video when you.
Of course, it lost all my videos. So now we're gonna do it on the fly, everybody. Sorry, technical difficulties. I don't know why, because I've been on this bitch for the last hour and a half doing all this stuff, but all of a sudden it don't want to fucking work now.
One family were killed in a shooting, followed by
Alan
a devastating house fire.
8 family
It happened
members,
Sunday
including
night
his
in
grandma.
Billings, Montana.
That motherfucker motherfucker
The
shot his
alleged
grandma.
shooter was part of that same
Yeah,
family.
his family was
His
together
name
for-
was Alan Smith. He was 44 years old. A family member says Smith had been living with his parents before they asked him to leave several weeks earlier. He later returned while the family was having dinner. Police described the case as a family disturbance, not a random attack. But why did Smith attack his family? That answer is still unknown. Investigators have not publicly established a motive. Being asked to leave the home is part of the known background, but it has not been confirmed as the reason. Then came the fire.
Where's everyone else, Bella?
Police arrived about 11
did
minutes
everybody
after the
else go?
911 call and heard gunfire.
You
Minutes
left
later,
him?
smoke was reported and the house was engulfed in flames.
Oh, there's that guy.
Firefighters had to
He's
deal with
still
an active shooting scene, making the response more dangerous. Investigators have not confirmed exactly how the fire started. One more detail stands out. 12-year-old Charlotte Gekier called 911 during the attack, trying to get help. So far, the biggest answers are still missing. Why did he do it? And how did the fire begin?
All right, so to add a little bit of background context to Alan. So Alan was a loser. So we're going to start with there. Alan was a loser who had no job and was unable to keep and obtain employment. So Alan was a loser who played video games all day, the classic white dude living in mom and dad's basement. And mom and dad got angry and said, get the fuck out of my house because you're 44 years old and you're a loser and you're not doing anything in real life and you went to college. And then after that, he picked Sunday dinner and went in on a rampage and killed 8 of his family members. He killed his 2 parents, Dana and Bob Smith. He killed his fucking grandmother. He killed his sister. He killed 2 of his stepkids. And he killed 1 niece and 1 nephew to make a grand total of 4 of his family members, essentially annihilated his close proximity family members. All 3 days ago. Like I said, no offense to white men, they're not beating any allegations anytime soon. Like, I hate to laugh about it, but they're not beating no allegations anytime soon. Greg, what do you think about this?
He probably didn't have anywhere to go. Like, he didn't have a job. He didn't have no money. They kicking him out. So he probably was like, okay, y'all gonna kick me out. Like, he didn't have no options. So I guess when you got no options, he could have robbed somebody. He could have stole something. But I guess he said, I got no options. I'm going to come get back on the people that did this to me. I think it was a little bit extreme. But I think it's your perspective and your mindset on that situation. The parents, I don't know if they knew he was going to be wild. I guess they didn't, but sad to say, condolences to the family. But yeah, it sounded like he didn't have anywhere to go. He didn't have no money, and so he went and got retaliation.
You know, he could have just blocked his family and talked shit about them on Facebook like a regular 44-year-old. Instead, he goes back and kills his grandma. Like, that's fucking wild. Come on, what do you think?
Nah, great. That was funny. Yeah. Look, I would say, was his father in the household, but we don't need to say that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
God damn. No, they love to tell us, where's the father's at? Was he raised by his father? Well, we know that. I saw this shit on one of them publications, Washington Post or New York Times, whatever. I read through this a little bit. I'm not surprised. I mean, we see it when they adolescents, they be like, fuck you, mom, don't come in here, I'm playing Roblox. Or the fuck game they be playing nowadays and stuff. You think it's gonna change? When he's 44 in the basement, scratching his nuts, eating Pizza Hut? Shout out to Pizza Hut, y'all good. Yeah. This ain't nothing new. They've been on shit like this.
Oh, and I also forgot to add, after he did all that, after he annihilated his family, he lit the fucking house on fire, fled from police, and then committed suicide by gunshot.
So he self-deleted, of course.
Yeah. I know, not beating any allegations. Zero allegations are being beat.
Man, god damn. Oh, was the dog? Let me ask this: was the dog safe? I know they had a dog. Did he kill the dogs too?
They didn't say anything about the dog. They didn't say. I don't know if they had a dog. They might not have.
No, they had a dog. The dog got away. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I have another clip of it. Hold on.
A Montana man has killed 8 of his family members, including 4 children, at a Sunday dinner. According to reporting, he was asked to move out, came back to the home, and opened fire while they were sitting around the dinner table. You cannot make this shit up even if you try. Then he set the place on fire and then turned the weapon on himself. Y'all, let's talk about it. So according to reporting, police responded to a 911 call at a home in Billings, Montana, Sunday evening. Now, when they arrived, they heard gunshots coming from the back of the house, but the house then was completely engulfed in flames. Now, that 911 caller was a 12-year-old girl. Now, this fire was huge, and of course, it impeded the investigation. Firefighters actually fought that blaze until 1 a.m. This all started around that evening. Now, when police were finally able to enter that home, they found 8 people deceased, ranging in ages from 7 years old to in their 90s. Just outside of the home in the backyard, they also found 44-year-old Alan Smith, apparently suffering from a weapon wound. He has died. So Brad Ireland, who is the next door neighbor, identified the victims. The police have not identified the victims, but his wife and 2 children were among those deceased. Now, the neighbor did identify the victims. The police have not done that yet. His ex-wife, Megan Gackery, and their 2 children, 13-year-old Owen Ireland and 7-year-old Chloe Ireland. Also, Gackery's 2 stepchildren with her current husband, Landon Gackery, 15, and 12-year-old Charlotte Gackery. Apparently, she was the one that called 911. Now, the neighbor said that Alan moved in with his parents in Montana and stayed with them for years before being asked to move out a couple of weeks ago. He unexpectedly returned to the home on Sunday evening when they were gathered for their weekly Sunday dinner, which he probably knew that they were doing, in which he turned the weapon on them. Now, again, Brad says that that's the neighbor. He said that that Alan was a recluse. So we don't have any pictures of him at this time. This is so disturbing. And of course, here at the Blackerate News, I send my condolences out to the family. Oh my God, I am just so heartbroken over this. It's so sad. I just never understand people who decide to take the life of other people right before they end.
Skeptic, what do you think?
I think that we're starting to see it more and more, and it could be a reaction. I also think like whenever we give, the more attention that we give to this, the more that people think this is a solution. Let me just say, because we're seeing, I don't know if you guys have seen this, and I know we're going to cover that case, but there are trends that people take up whenever they associate themselves with these cases. So I feel like a lot of 44-year-old white men that are living in their parents' basements, and I know that we laugh at this, but there's like a real, issue that's happening even with like younger men, especially particularly with the demographic of men that are white young men. They have like this loneliness epidemic, and I think the radicalization, I've always said this, the red pill movement and other radical ideologies that have implemented themselves on this group of people is going to be detrimental to them, because women, we socialize with each other. We're social creatures. We do things that are acceptable to one another. Men can do exactly what that man was doing. They can just isolate themselves. They feel like they don't have to socialize. They can live in an online world and make up a whole life that's not real. And then whenever real life and their fake online life kind of clashes together, they're just like, I'm just going to end the whole thing. I think it's a real issue that's happening with a lot of young people. And if we don't address it, it will continue to happen. We'll continue to see this happening. And it just so happens to be in like one group that we're seeing it. But potentially I can see that issue, if it's not taken care of, maybe way further along, it also becoming an issue with other young people.
Well, do you think, given the economic situation that we have in the United States, that we may start to see more family annihilations? You know what I mean? More people kind of hitting that that stress point to where they put themselves into a mental psychosis. But because you can, like, a lot of people don't realize, like, stress obviously give you a heart attack, but it could also, you know, your brain is only equipped to handle so much, and eventually you get to that breaking point where it can no longer handle whatever is going on, and you could legitimately put yourself into a psychosis.
That's a good point. Like, you
make
don't
yourself
know.
manic.
Yeah, you don't know if maybe the parents started having financial stresses. Like, that could have been a factor, and they were like, "Hey, you're 44 years old, and on our financial, like, you are a burden here. So, like, get it together." And now he's gone all his life, 44 years, being able to just do whatever, do nothing, and be kept. And now it's like, times are hard. We need you. You know what I mean? It could be like multiple things. It could have also already been an issue, but I will say, like, he thought this out. This was methodical. This was not just like an accident. He knew that they were going to get together for Sunday dinner, which is something our family does too. So I think it's like sad whenever someone from the family like uses something that's like so, you know, like intimate to go in there and like target your family. That's wild. Like, that is insane. The grandmas, like you were saying, he unalived his grandmas.
Grandma, like, he had this fucking 90 years old, 90 some odd years old grandma. Gray, do you think we could potentially anticipate more family annihilations due to economic stressors and just in general what's happening in the United States? Obviously, being American right now is extremely stressful for most people. Whether it's financial, whether it's political, whether it's even your job, because, you know, most of the time your job used to be sacred, and now a lot of people are losing their jobs, like, almost on the daily. So there doesn't seem to be any sort of breath that a lot of people are taking.
Absolutely. I mean, we had a phrase going postal from someone losing their job right before they were about to retire. If you don't know that story, you can look it up. Someone worked at the post office, they were about to retire, and then they got fired, and they came and shot up everyone at the post office. So finances is a big thing when people want to basically end their lives or end somebody else's life, because so much revolves around money. People judge you, especially as men. You're judged based on what you can provide, what you can finance. So if it affects you financially, it's going to affect your love life. It's going to affect your family life. And he had kids. I don't know if he was divorced or what was going on, but he had other liabilities that he had to pay for. So I definitely think finances affects that. And then with politics affected too, because if we're talking about a certain demographic, a lot of people expected Trump to help the everyman and every man to be helped and get better financially, get more out of their country. So it could possibly be that that's going on. I'm not going to specifically call out a specific group, but that could possibly be a big issue why we're seeing a rise in it, and we could expect more of it to happen.
Yeah, that's very valid. I have a feeling we're going to start, as the economic climate starts to really take a steep downhill, because, I mean, we're at the point of no return. I don't want to make this political, but just a little footnote disclaimer that I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more crime, because crime tends to jump when economics tend to fall into the dumps. People usually resort to crime. So I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit more crime happening. So to bring us to our second case.
Hold on, can I say something before we get to the second? Gray, I know you say you ain't gonna bring up a group, but I'm gonna bring up a group. Man, white men do this shit. Once they go broke, they kill their whole family. You don't hear no other group of men killing their family because they broke. I don't hear none of that shit. It's only white men that do that shit. Oh, went from 80,000 to 60,000. My family gotta go.
I shouldn't laugh. It's so bad, but it's kind of funny too.
It's true though.
It's funny, but it's like super bad too.
And Kamal also hit another thing. If they're not fucking the dog, they usually kill the dog too. Like, there was one case that I had looked at that we had covered. He killed all his children. He had adopted. Some of them weren't even his blood children. Yeah. And the dog and the family dog. I was like, what? The dog too. Like, the family dog always gets the worst end of the stick. It's like bad.
Damn, killing the dogs and everything. I couldn't imagine killing my dogs. I love my dogs. I I mean, I would let my dogs drive my car. If they're like, I want to go to the grocery store, I'd be like, take the car. I mean, I fucking love my dogs. I couldn't imagine killing them. Half the time I like the dogs more. I like my kids. The dogs are more loyal, I will say. Okay, so we're going to go to our second case. So it is concerning a woman named Keshia Golden out of Chicago. So, and for me, I personally think this is a case of over prosecution. She should have never been charged with anything at all whatsoever. So before I get into some of the videos, I just want to give a brief overview of just some information about her in particular. I don't know why this camera thing won't move, but I'll work on it later. All right, so her name is Keshia Golden. She is a domestic violence survivor. She placed over 50 police calls, over 50 calls to the police when it comes to her former, now deceased baby dad, ex-boyfriend, Sidney Calvin, was beating the fuck out of her to the point where she placed 50 police calls over a period of time. She actually was able to get a protection order. Not that a protection order protects you. A gun will do that. Write that down. A protection order doesn't protect you. It's a piece of paper. Got a fucking gun. Shoot him. And so they had a baby shower. They were at the baby shower. They get back to her home from the baby shower. They get into an altercation over using the fucking microwave. I can't make this shit up. They get into an altercation over who's going to use the microwave first. According to her, he essentially flipped out, threw her food down or like threw the plate and basically like smashed her face off of a table. And that is when she reached, grabbed the knife. She actually stabbed him in the leg. And a reasonable person would stab somebody in the leg thinking they would survive. Unfortunately for her, she nicked his femoral artery and he died. He bled out. Obviously, when she stabbed him in the leg, a reasonable person would assume that that is not a mortal injury. That's like a 1 in a million injury. She clearly did not have the intent to kill him, or she would have stabbed him in the chest. This guy was not a midget. She clearly was just trying to stab him in order for her to get away. All of this is happening, and she is like 8.5 months pregnant. Over 8 months pregnant while all of these things are happening. While he smashed her face off the table, she stabs him. She leaves the place of residence. She comes back later to him dead and deceased. She calls the police. She admits what happened. She never lied. She never said, I didn't do this. She never gave the police a runaround. Nothing like that. She totally admit, I did stab him. And then Cook County decides to charge her with first-degree murder, which usually only comes around when there's a premeditated element there or it was with malice intent. But I'm stabbing somebody in the leg, to me, is not malice intent. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, that doesn't seem very malice. That seems like you're doing what you should be doing in order to protect yourself. You hit somebody once and then the police tell you to leave. That is self-defense. You strike once, and then you remove yourself from the situation. That is the foundational cornerstone of self-defense. But instead, they charged her with first-degree murder. And they offered her really shitty plea deals. She is a nurse, or she works in the medical professional. They didn't say what kind of nurse or what type of nurse, so I'm just going to call her a healthcare worker. So she is a healthcare worker. She is a licensed healthcare worker. And essentially, they offered her really shitty plea deals where she would have to register as a violent offender. She would be a felon, which would bar her from doing any sort of work in the medical field. She would never be able to get any sort of benefits, any sort of help with healthcare, food, none of that. It would bar her from any sort of anything. Even though these plea deals all said that she wouldn't have to go to prison, however, she wouldn't be able to work. So how was she going to take care of the baby that she now has, that she almost died protecting, if she can't work? So a little bit of overview. Let's go to some videos I have explaining it.
Golden. If you don't know the name, learn it, because her trial begins today and the whole world should be watching this, because really she shouldn't even be on trial. When Keshia was 8 months pregnant, she stabbed her boyfriend in the leg after she says that he attacked her, and he died. Today, nearly 4 years later, her first-degree murder trial is scheduled to begin. But first, prosecutors are reportedly offering her a brand new plea deal. On October 22nd, 2022, 33-year-old Keshia Golden and her boyfriend, 29-year-old Calvin Sidney, were celebrating at a baby shower for their first child together. Hours later, at approximately 3 a.m. on October 23rd, they were inside Keshia's apartment in Chicago's Austin neighborhood when an argument turned physical. There are certain facts that are not disputed. Keshia stabbed Calvin in the leg, and the knife struck his femoral artery, and he later died at Mount Sinai Hospital. What is fiercely disputed is what happened immediately before the stabbing. Prosecutors say that the argument began over who would use the microwave first to reheat leftovers. They allege that Keshia knocked a plate of food from Calvin's hand, Calvin pushed her down onto the counter, and Calvin's uncle separated them. According to the prosecution, Calvin then went into a bedroom to lay down on the bed. They say that Keshia armed herself with a knife, pushed past Calvin's uncle, entered the bedroom, and stabbed Calvin while he was unarmed and laying in the bed. So prosecutors are arguing that the immediate danger had already ended, meaning that the stabbing was no longer legally justified as self-defense. But Keshia and her attorneys describe a very different sequence. Keshia says Calvin had already fought with a friend that night and pushed her down a staircase when she attempted to intervene. She says she briefly left but returned after Calvin promised he had calmed down. Her attorneys say that Calvin later hit Keshia, grabbed her by the hair, and repeatedly slammed her into a kitchen counter and refrigerator while she was 8 months pregnant. They say that a relative attempted to separate them, but the attack continued into another room. According to the defense, Keshia grabbed a knife and stabbed Calvin in the leg because she believed her and her unborn child were in danger. Keshia has said that she was not thinking clearly and only wanted him to stop. She says that she didn't know the knife had struck an artery or that a stab wound to the leg could kill him. Afterward, Keshia left the apartment. She later returned without knowing Calvin had died and admitted to police that she had stabbed him. Her attorney says that Keshia then spent 4 days in the hospital receiving treatment for injuries that she suffered during the altercation. And the history between this couple will be one of the most important parts of the trial. Police reporting says that more than 50 domestic violence-related calls had previously been made from their home. Between June and September of 2022 alone, police responded to 5 domestic violence incidents involving Keshia and Calvin. In 4 of them, Keshia accused Calvin of choking, punching, slapping, or pushing her. In July, Keshia obtained an order of protection after alleging that Calvin punched her in the face. Her attorney says that one incident involved him choking her while she was 18 weeks pregnant. They have also claimed that she previously suffered a miscarriage after being physically abused by him. But the record also contains an incident from August 2022 in which Calvin accused Keshia of cutting him in the neck badly enough to require hospitalization. Prosecutors say that he declined to pursue charges. After Calvin's death, Keshia was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and initially held on a $2 million bond. A different judge later reduced the bond to $50,000. Community organizations raised the required $5,000, allowing Keshia to leave jail before giving birth. And given the circumstances of this case, that it wasn't an obvious murder case and she was 1 month from giving birth, setting the bond for $2 million is crazy. People do a whole lot worse and have a whole lot less of a bond. Anyway, her daughter is now 3 years old, and Keshia has remained out of custody, attended every hearing, and reportedly checked in with the pretrial services every day for nearly 4 years. Earlier this year, prosecutors offered Keshia a deal, plead guilty to second-degree murder, and receive 2 years of probation, but she rejected it. Her attorneys argued that even without additional jail time, she would permanently carry a murder conviction and be required to register as a violent offender. Now today is day 1 of her trial, and prosecutors are expected to offer another deal, this time involuntary manslaughter with 2 years of probation and no violent offender registration. As of this recording, there has been no public confirmation that Keshia accepted that offer. If she rejects the plea, there will not be a jury. Judge Stephen Watkins alone will hear the evidence and decide her fate. Under Illinois law, Keshia's use of force is legally justified if she reasonably believed that it was necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to herself or her unborn child. If the judge finds that Keshia acted in lawful self-defense, she should be found not guilty. If she is convicted of first-degree murder, she ordinarily faces between 20 and 60 years in prison. The fact that this is even going to trial is disappointing.
Come on. Tell us what you think. The floor is yours.
What I think is both them motherfuckers is crazy. They were stabbing each other, slapping each other, Bart Simpson in each other and shit. Nah, they both was toxic. And she stayed in that toxic shit just along with him. Mm-hmm. You heard that she had a miscarriage when they got into a domestic dispute. What happened? She still got a baby by that nigga. No. I ain't gonna be on this. See, most of you niggas and dumb bras out there, y'all find this opportunity right now to do the gender war shit. Oh, the man ain't shit. Oh, the woman ain't shit. How about, God damn, I feel sorry for the kids. How about that shit? She got a kid. Kid don't have a daddy now. And the mama probably going to jail. Both of them motherfuckers on bullshit. How about that? And I'll leave y'all the floor.
Skeptic, what do you think? What is your response to both of them are on shit?
I will say a few things. So when it comes to like domestic violence cases, the thing that you don't want to do is leave your future in the hands of a system that's not going to give you preferential treatment as a non-white person. So when you speak on the DA, a few things. Whether or not you can explain away the situation and what was going on, looking at the statistics, you're probably not going to do well. You're not going to fare well. The judge is probably not going to not going to, give you a lesser sentence. So I'm just saying, like, when it comes to the legal system, we know how the legal system works. Statistically, you are 20% more likely to get a longer sentence if you are Black. If you are Hispanic, I think it's like 17%. So, once this goes into the legal system and once you get, a sentencing, there's not really going back on it. So like the thing that I was thinking about, I agree with Kamal. I think when it comes to that type of case, and we all know a couple that's like, man, they really should not be together. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you leave it up, if you don't take that last plea deal, which I think would probably be the best bet, you don't have to register as a violent offender. You only have to do 2 years of probation. And I think nobody's going to come out happy out of the situation. I don't think anybody should. But if you do take it to trial and the judge, because the DA didn't seem to like her. So you're going to have the DA showing their case. They wanted to give you a $2 million bond. That's crazy. For a case like this, that's wild. I don't know. I feel like it's not going to go well for her. I don't know why. I don't know what the thought process was with the lawyers, but I guess we'll see if they don't take the plea deal. I know what people are saying. And what's crazy is that we may have our opinion as the public. It doesn't matter. The system is completely different. You think they care about what TikTok's saying? Like, yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Well, and she had no priors. So she was not a criminal. She had no criminal history. She had no priors. There were no protective orders taken out on her, for him or whatnot or anything like that. So, I mean, to give her a $2 million bond is like ridiculous because it's not like she woke up that day, was texting her family and friends, like, I'm going to stab this motherfucker. He has it coming. You know what I mean? Like, that was not the situation. And then if there was also another family member in the home that can attest to they had a volatile relationship, there was a physical altercation that happened, yada, yada, yada. It's like, clearly this wasn't premeditated. And then again, she stabbed him in the leg just enough to get away. I mean, if she wanted to stab him to kill him, she would have stabbed him in the chest. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking to kill somebody, you're going to stab him in the chest. She stabbed him in the leg, and then she vacated the residence. She left.
I just think she's getting a preview. You know what I mean? Like, they're giving you a preview of how unjust the system can be. So it's like, also, the DA isn't going to charge you. And I'm not saying that they're charging her correctly, but I'm just saying they must have some kind of evidence. They must have something on you, because for them to be that bold, I mean, it just seems wild to me. Also, I don't, if it was up to a jury, I would say go for it. But being that these judges, like, have we seen what the judges are doing? We just saw a judge that got recused from a case who had been a judge for 20 years. Like, you're really gonna put your hands, like your life, on the hands of a judge? You don't know what he's gonna say. You don't know if he has some background or if he already, So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna end well, but I guess we'll see.
Gray,
I think
before
that
you
the
go,
evidence that they got on her is her giving bruh $1.50. Y'all know what that is?
no.
Basically, it's a term in New York where they say in Rikers Island where a nigga get a razor blade and cut your fucking face. Didn't we hear previously that she cut him in the throat?
Yeah.
And it fucked him up. And he was like, I'm not going to press charges. I think that's the evidence. But I will say this. How the fuck is her bond higher than Chud the Bussinator, a.k.a. Chud the Builder? Make y'all think, but I keep telling y'all, that system be working to a T. Just saying.
It's true. So, Gray, before you go, the last bit of information I have is she did, in the 11th hour, the day, like 12 hours before the actual trial was supposed to start, she did accept a plea deal. She accepted 2 years probation, no prison, no violent registry, and I believe it was manslaughter is what she accepted, with the hopes, according to her attorneys, that she's going to seek a pardon from J.B. Pritzker, the governor. Hopefully they're going to try to get a pardon and have it expunged off her record. So she did end up accepting a plea deal, which I think is in her best interest. I would not want to go to trial in Chicago. I wouldn't want to do it. But at the same time, I think the fact that they wanted to charge her with first-degree murder when they couldn't even show malice intent or premeditation is kind of wild too. So, Gray, what do you think?
To all the couples out there, once the police get involved, you're supposed to leave. I mean, y'all fighting over the microwave, like
literally though. I should have laughed, but literally, who was gonna use the microwave first? Mind you, she's 8 months pregnant, so automatically it should have been her. It should have been no discussion. But I digress.
And she looked hood. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know what a man look like, but she looked hood, so it looked like they was on some hood stuff. And like with couples, when it's passion and when it's y'all fighting over dumb stuff like that. If y'all fighting over the microwave, you talking about $1.50s, all of this, they should have been broke up. Somebody was gonna be in jail. Somebody was gonna get killed. Something was gonna happen because they fighting over petty stuff. And the kid, maybe the kid in a better position with them going, because if the kid would have been born around all of that, then maybe the kid would have got hurt. So my thing is domestic violence is real, and people, any couples out there, once the cops get involved, once it gets crazy, break up, get away from each other. It's not worth it.
Ray's in the comments over a styrofoam plate full of cocktail weenies.
Imagine. That's crazy. The story we all have to hear is like, what?
Oh my God. That's why we had to do 2 small ones before we get into Lindsay Clancy, because it was just so fucking ridiculous when I heard arguing over the microwave. I couldn't imagine stabbing someone.
But not gonna lie to what you said, Mia, low key, because I grew up with a hella cousins. It was like 11 of us kids. We used to fight. So much. I remember my mom breaking a broom one time just to like get us to stop fighting. And one time someone got in a fight and they accidentally got stabbed with like a table that had broken. It was wild. My house was wild. The boys were fighting about something, and my mom had just got a brand new glass table, and someone grabbed it and like swung it and hit someone, and all the glass went everywhere. It actually cut him. And you don't think, right, while you're like in the middle of an argument or a fight and you're acting crazy, you don't think you can hurt the other person to the point where they can like bleed out. But he had to get stitches for that. And in my mind, I'm like, potentially someone could have been unalived over a fight, over a crazy fight. You can throw something. I know she grabbed the knife, but I'm sure her intention, like she had cut him before, right? And nothing had come out of it. I'm sure she thought like, whatever, she's going to do, which just sounds crazy, but she probably just thought, I'm going to do this. And then he's, it's over. And the man is now dead. Like, you know what I mean? Isn't that crazy? Like, you have to think. I know when you're there, you're not thinking, but it's different situations. I've seen people fight in public, and I'm like, you just don't know. You can slam someone on the ground and y'all are drunk and that person's gone.
Yeah, no, I don't fight with people like that. I mean, I
Listen, she ain't from that side of
I don't fight with people like that. I don't. There's nothing in this world I care about enough to be fight with nobody over some dumb shit. Even when we were younger, we were kids. So I'm a Pisces, which means I'm naturally like a manipulator. So I used to instigate the shit out of some fights with my cousins, but I was never in it. I used to be there instigating all the time. I watched my cousin take the fall for me, and my grandma beat the hell out of my cousin. Wasn't me though. Wasn't me. Like nope. I pointed at Shaquana. I said it was Shaquana. I was like, oh, Shaquana. Shaquana did that. It wasn't me. And my cousin Shaquana got her ass beat. Thank God she don't watch this. But yeah, no, she got her ass beat. I instigated that whole situation. And I was like, oh, no, it wasn't me. It was Shaquana. And ran.
Actually, you know
Ran
what?
away.
Right now they were talking about this. When Mexico played, y'all know that last Mexico game? Because I am that friend that when we like drink and stuff, like our guy friends are pretty like, I don't know. They get into fights. I've been around a lot of fights, y'all. So we were in a big city. We had traveled, all of our friends traveled out because it was around my birthday. And we were out, and then Mexico lost, so people were upset. And someone threw someone down the stairs. The guy died. It literally was on the news. We didn't know about it because like a lot of security started coming, and we were like, let's go. It's getting kind of crazy. Like we don't want to get into trouble. And actually they were fighting on the stairs, and one of them pushed the other one. He's actually right now is being like, they're pressing charges against him. And I'm just like, it kind of like goes hand in hand because I am the person, I'm never like the person that calms everything down. I'm like, let's go. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be like, don't let them talk to you crazy. So we were in our group text. I was like, man, we need to chill. We're getting a little too old for all that. Like we need to learn to like, you know, calm things down and be like, let's just leave. I don't know. I wasn't raised that way,
but nobody's saying like the passion and the love that happens with couples like this. They probably were really attached, couldn't see themselves without each other. So that's probably why they had this volatile roller coaster of a relationship. Because it's couples like that have all this violence in their relationships because they're not the ones that just say, okay, this is crazy. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to leave. So y'all stabbing each other up. If you don't care about somebody, you're not about to be fighting with them like that. You could be like, man, go ahead, take the microwave. I don't care. I don't want to be with you anyway. So, I mean, it's when you really, really like somebody, love somebody, is when you assaulting them and doing all this crazy stuff.
If you say so, I don't know, man. I really love some people.
I'm
not trying to be nothing like that. I'm lazy. I'm not trying to be nothing like that.
Gray, are you okay? Blink twice. You are sick.
Listen, I've been assaulted before. I've been hit with cars, all type of stuff, because you got the passion involved. But that's why I said, once something gets too crazy, once y'all start hitting each other, once the police come, hey, you got to go. Because even with, they said the uncle was in between. People don't even want to get in those types of situations because even if you come and you say, hey, y'all shouldn't be together, they blame the person, the third party person trying to tell them not to be together. So you end up being an enemy regardless, even if you try to help a couple like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. We all know those couples that are just absolutely crazy. They're riding together, and more than likely they're probably going to die together, and it's not going to be of old age for sure.
Hold on, Mia. Hold on. Gray, are you okay, bro? You just told us you got assaulted by a woman, bro. What's going on?
He got hit by a car.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, I'm here for you, my black brother. Damn. Shit crazy as hell. Damn.
Hey, relationship is crazy out there. That's why I don't give relationship advice.
That's valid. May that love never find me, because the second I snap, I'm lighting the house on fire. What house? What house?
We're gonna cover.
I'm lighting the house on fire. We're done. That's why I don't get mad. I don't get mad. I keep it cool. I keep it cute. Because I'll flip a table. I'll tase you while you sleep. I'll do crazy shit, and I don't want to be crazy. So I keep it cool and I keep it cute. And I'm like, you know what? No point in arguing. No point in arguing because somebody's going to jail and it's probably going to be me. Because I'm going to take it. I'm going to take us to hell. That's why I don't get mad, because I'm the kind of person who'll drag us both to hell and not care. Because at that point in time, the illogical part is taken over. We're going to hell together.
Hey, I thought I was the crazy one in the relationship. I am lacking because all I do is not talk to you. I'll act like you're invisible. I will ignore the shit out of you. I just am like in my own life, doing my own. I just am like, you piss me off. I'm like, okay, I'll just erase you. You don't exist. That's as far as I go. Like, will not speak to you, will not cook for you, will not do any of your stuff. I'm just like, you no longer exist. Delete.
All right, so I do have some clips. They're going to be longer clips because we are now into part 3 of the Lindsay Clancy trial that we've been covering. So it's going to cover day 17, 18, 19, and day 20. So they are longer clips. A brief recap. We've all obviously been following it on our own. So just going to be kind of brief recaps because there's so much information out on Lindsay Clancy at this point in time. It's a little overwhelming. All right, so let's go here.
17 of the Lindsay Clancy trial with just one witness and the judge dismissing the jury early due to an unforeseen circumstance that came up yesterday that they are still working out. The judge told the jury at the start of the day that it would be a short day due to whatever this was that happened yesterday. Then one witness testified, a chaplain from Brigham and Women's Hospital who spoke with Lindsay Clancy, and she talked about what Lindsay told her in the hospital. My last 2 videos are covering those 2 things that happened this morning. After that witness testified, the judge dismissed the jury for the day. And the attorneys then had a preliminary charge conference to discuss jury instructions. The prosecutor and defense both shared their thoughts on what the jury instructions should be. The main issue they were discussing was in regards to Lindsay's intoxication. The prosecution was bringing up concerns about whether the jury should be instructed on issues regarding intoxication as it applies to criminal responsibility. The DA said that instruction on first and second degree murder with theories of first being both premeditation and extreme atrocity of cruelty is what they want. And they said for the criminal responsibility instruction, they're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given. The DA said, quote, "From our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There is testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, but before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescriptions. Those were prescribed medications she reported no side effects from, so there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs." The DA said the only intoxication could have been from when she took pills after killing the children. Reddington pushed back, saying, quote, "I don't know if the government has been listening to the same arguments in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense." He noted that potential overprescription of medication, taking the medications, and quickly stopping them against typical medical advice could have directly impacted Lindsay's actions. He said, quote, "To suggest that there's no basis to give the jury instruction, they may determine based on the evidence that this is a result of the involuntary intoxication from prescribed narcotics." He also said, "I would at some point ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter with the component of involuntary intoxication. So you can't try this case in a vacuum. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows the jury to determine the degree of murder. But I think that the evidence is such that the jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted." He said, "I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication and to consider involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense." In response to that, the DA said involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here since there was, quote, "evidence of intent to cause the death." Regarding the intoxication, the DA said the effects from drugs the defense was talking about were taken in the fall, but the relevant analysis is about what she was taking that day. So to break this down a little bit, the defense wants to include involuntary intoxication as part of the criminal responsibility. This is because they say that the medications Lindsay was prescribed led to her involuntary intoxication at the time of the killings. The prosecution is saying that this isn't the case because Lindsay stopped taking those medications, was weaned off of the Seroquel when she was at McLean in early January, therefore they wouldn't be affecting her by the end of January, and said that the pills she took that day that she crushed up in the drink were taken after the killings. The judge...
All right, so this is this part is a little bit boring. So I don't think too much happened on day 17. So I will summarize some of the bullet points that happened. So they did hear from a Sheila Kavanaugh. She was a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital who visited Lindsay Clancy around 200 times. She testified that Lindsay Clancy had a flat affect, and she had also stated, "So glad my children are safe," after the killings. She was in the hospital after the fact. She also confirmed that Lindsay alluded to hearing a persistent male voice commanding her to kill the children and herself, although prosecutors noted this detail was absent from Clancy's official medical records concerning the chaplain. So the chaplain did document that in her official medical record or her meeting minutes with her, but she did say that Lindsay had stated she had heard a persistent male voice. So what do you guys think so far from that?
I had saw that the psychiatrist for the prosecution said that Lindsay was purposely manipulating doctors, like to get more medication, to do all of this stuff. Like they trying to say that she was trying to use drugs.
Doctor shopping is what we call it.
Doctor shopping. That she was trying to doctor shop, and that she thought that that was going to be a solution. And then once that was a solution, she went to the final solution, for lack of a better term. That's what I saw. That was like, I think the final thing the prosecution was saying about to the psychiatrist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I have a crazy theory that I heard on TikTok, y'all. TikTok is crazy. So somebody came up with a theory. All of this is alleged. None of this is real. This is just what someone has thought up in their head. That she knew that he was having an extramarital affair, and he was really in this because obviously he married the lady. So that she found out about it or had a feeling about it. And although she was having mental health issues, that they think that that caused her to say, like, that's it. And kind of plant evidence to kind of set him up in a way. Because a lot of the things that they were saying, somebody was saying this on TikTok, some of the evidence makes sense that she, like, it draws to her. And then some of the evidence is, like, questionable. But it could have been where she was kind of planting evidence on him because she knew, like, she found out that he was having this extramarital affair, which I kind of think would make sense. I mean, I feel like he had been talking to this person for a while, and being that, you know, the attention is not on you you're obviously not functioning correctly, right? Because you're going through all these issues. It wouldn't be that hard. He would have his guard down to, like, not have to protect his secret. She could have figured that out and been like, oh, on top of everything that I'm going through and, like, you know, all this situation, like, this is really what you're doing? You're going to leave me? So, I mean, it's a possibility. I don't know. It's so many things when I start listening, I'm like, I don't even know what.
It just would have been easier to stab him. I mean, she could have taken taken a page out of Keisha. It would have been so much easier to fucking stab him. The last time he had an affair, I tell you what.
Stab in the leg. I'm joking.
Right in the leg. It'd be the last time that motherfucker had an affair. Not on my watch.
It's true crime.
Hit you with the car.
Our True Crime Fridays are going to become a liability for us. It's just saying wild things. I don't know. What do y'all think? Like, I feel like I had not even thought about that. Because someone was saying you're the wife at the end of the day. You have, you have feelings of, like, something here is not right. He obviously was taking business trips to New York. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to put two and two together. And then on top of you're going through your whole thing, and it's like, here this man is having, obviously the relationship was not going to end. So if she did find out about it, she probably found out how serious the relationship was.
Maybe.
So basically, all the people last week that were blaming the husband and said the husband planted evidence on her to do this, now that shit is out the window. Because she wasn't taking her medicine, which makes her in her right state of mind, which is crazy. Let's just be real.
Mm-hmm.
And she did what she did. Throw this woman under the jail.
Well, you know You know what's crazy though is it's interesting that the prosecution was arguing about the intoxication when they are the ones that presented the toxicology report, which showed at 10 medications in her system. At the time that they tested her blood, she had over 10 medications in her system. So she was taking her medications. She was extremely medicated. I mean, she was on benzos. She was SSRIs, multiple SSRIs. This was all documented and submitted into evidence by them. So for me, it's super interesting that now they're coming back and saying she wasn't intoxicated. It's like, well, you're the one that submitted the toxicology report that shows she was on 10 different medications at
She
the
got
same
a public
time.
opinion or something. They trash. They fucking terrible.
So
I have to say this though.
it's weird.
I do say this though. Hey, white women, y'all are the greatest fundraisers ever. Jesus Christ. Y'all will raise some funds. Y'all see all the women she got out there raising $1 million for her, saying, let her go.
Doing the hearts.
We don't give a damn about the kids. Let her go.
Oh no, wait. Have y'all seen the Lindsay Clancy support videos where they're like, women are out here doing the posting, like trying to, I don't know, prove a point. And I'm not saying, because let me just say, I have seen firsthand how women can go through a really rough postpartum. Okay, it is real. I'm not saying that this is made up, but the stuff that's being posted is outrageous. I'm like, absolutely not. Okay, and number two, we're not gonna make light out of your thoughts of doing things to children. Like that's not, we have to draw the line somewhere, and that's not okay. They're like literally posting videos. One lady was walking with her kid and was walking past like this wood chipper and was like, oh, you know what's so crazy? I'm having postpartum. And I'm thinking about if my kid fell in there. I'm like, lady. And then like crazy stuff that they're doing, grabbing ice and just acting crazy. I'm like, no, this ain't what we're about to do, y'all. No, that's not okay. We shouldn't make this trend. Everything doesn't deserve a trend. And this is one of them things that does not deserve a trend.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is this, and it goes along with the other white dude that killed his family because he got kicked out at 44 years old. It seems like a lot of excuses be made. This kind of falls in the line with the Andrea Yates. I don't know if y'all heard of her, but they were trying to hear her with the whole like, oh, she was just going through it and all this other bullshit. This giving Lindsay Clancy the postpartum excuse. It's the same as like giving the white man when he go broke, he has the excuse to fucking strangle his dog, his cat, his mama, his daddy, his granny. I think the shit is bull malarkey. You feel me? I'm tired of them getting excuses. You feel me? This woman killed her kids, murdered them. Then she tried to do the old playbook out of usually the white man playbook, but she took a page out of it and she tried to murk herself. Not she wasn't very what you call it about it though. She wasn't very due diligent about it. She jumped feet first instead of head first. If she really wanted to do the shit, she probably would have jumped head first, but she did feet first. But I'm just tired of all the excuses. But at the end of the day, white women, y'all raise a lot of money. Shit, if I need funds raised, I'm calling y'all. At the end of the day.
Well, they're the originals.
And I think there's a difference between saying that postpartum and like the medical system, there's an issue when it comes to treating women. And I think there's something different to say we should normalize the thought process of hurting babies. Like there's a distinction, right? We can look at this and we can say, obviously the medical system failed her, but we're not going to say that it's acceptable to do this in society.
I feel like that's valid. Both those can live together. You can be understanding of a mental illness, but also denounce any acts that come from that mental illness. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's terrible she murdered her children, but I also recognize there's a mental illness component. I think she should do sometimes? Yeah, she killed her 3 kids. Is there reasonable doubt? I'm on the fence. I'm one of the reasonable doubt people. The prosecution has not proven to me that she even murdered those children. The only reason that is because she has not denied murdering those children. But at this point in time, they haven't even presented evidence that she did. I mean, how can you murder someone and not leave any evidence that you actually did it. And all of the evidence that they have stating she did it comes from a husband, where we're going to listen to testimony stating that it wasn't possible for him to have even had a conversation with her. So some of these puzzle pieces just don't add up. So either way, she is taking accountability for this. So she should go to prison. There are 3 lives lost, regardless. But the prosecution has done, in my opinion, has done a terrible job of even moving past beyond reasonable doubt. Like, if we're going to convict somebody to prison for life, regardless if they admit to it or not, the evidence should state that. Be like, yes, I can prove beyond a reasonable doubt, along with your confession, the evidence points to a distinct linear path. Like, you did this, we watched you do it, this is why you did it, and here, you're going to go to prison. And they really haven't done that.
And we saw the final defense witness, the defense resting their case, and the first rebuttal witness. Here's a recap. First up was the final defense witness, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Philip Resnick. Resnick testified remotely because he recently underwent surgery and is recovering at home. He worked on the case with Lindsay Clancy at Kevin Reddington's request. It took some time for the Zoom feed to get figured out this morning, and there were some connection issues throughout the testimony, but finally his testimony got started. Resnick answered questions about his impression of Lindsay upon seeing her for the first time about 4 months after the incident. He said at the time, of course, she had suffered major injury and was paralyzed, so that was the setting. He described Lindsay as having a blunted affect and being heavily medicated. He also recalled feedback from her nurses, saying, quote, "Nurses told me she was crying daily about the loss of her 3 children." Reddington asked Resnick about a Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory, or an MMPI, that was done on Lindsay. This is to determine if Lindsay was lying or faking during her discussions and interviews about her mental health. Resnick testified that the results of the test found that Lindsay had a tendency to minimize and did not have a tendency to exaggerate. The test found no evidence of faking psychiatric symptoms. Resnick then discussed his assessment of Lindsay and his conclusion about her mental health, saying, quote, "My final diagnosis of her was called bipolar 2 with a severe depression on January 24th, 2023, and from reading the reports of all the experts that will be testifying, no one failed to diagnose a major mental disease on the day of the crime." He said he considered postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, and noted that Lindsay had a history of anxiety following the birth of all 3 of her children. He said since Lindsay's symptoms began within 3 months of Callan's birth, that would be considered a postpartum onset. Then, of course, she had considerable difficulty over the next 5 months. He said at the time of the crime itself, on January 24th, 2023, Miss Clancy was frankly psychotic, so in that sense, she had a postpartum psychosis. Resnick pointed out that it's not common to see postpartum psychosis 8 months after birth, but that it can occur. Resnick said he has worked on around 80 cases where he's been asked to evaluate mothers and fathers who have killed their children. He said he has researched motivations for these killings and believes that Lindsay wanted to die and may have believed her children would have been worse off without her. He also discussed the issue of statements that she was commanded by a voice, and this is something other witnesses have testified during the trial. Resnick is considered an expert in this field and has done a lot of research and studies about this. He testified that he believes Lindsay's actions fall into 2 categories of motivation. The first is altruistic filicide, which is a killing out of love rather than hostility, an effort to do what's best for a child based on a distorted belief that the child would be worse off alive. The second is acutely psychotic filicide, which is when the parent is frankly psychotic at the time of the killing. During cross-examination, prosecutors asked Resnick about his research because he has published many articles about postpartum diagnoses, filicide, etc. They focused on the fact that the most common motivation for parents killing their children is fatal maltreatment or child abuse. He has written about this. The DA said, quote, "Most women who kill their kids don't do it due to mental illness, correct?" And Resnick said, correct. He then focused on whether Lindsay acted on the commands that she heard from the voices immediately after hearing them, or if she was hearing the voice repeatedly before the murders. Assistant District Attorney Buckingham brought up Andrea Yates, who killed her 5 children in 2001 after suffering from postpartum. And I have a video I recently did on Andrea Yates, a whole overview of the case, in case you don't know the case or want a refresher. But Buckingham brought up Andrea Yates and was talking about how Andrea tried to hide what she wanted to do and tried to take her own life instead of killing her children. And Buckingham said Lindsay didn't do the same. She acted on the voices when she heard them. She focused on the fact that Lindsay reported suicidal thoughts, but never homicidal thoughts. Resnick said, quote, "That is very common because people fear their children will be taken away." And Resnick pointed out that she did report to her husband and mother that she had thoughts of harming her children well before the incident actually took place. But Buckingham said that those were thoughts of harming them, not killing them, and Resnick said that is essentially the same thing in these cases. The prosecution also questioned Resnick's conclusions about psychosis as the motive. Buckingham said just because someone tells you that they don't have a motive, or you can't figure out a motive, doesn't mean they didn't have a motive, correct? And Resnick said that's possible, yes. Buckingham also asked about whether it's common to consider symptoms 8 months after birth postpartum, and Resnick answered that there are different schools of thoughts on this, and some experts consider it weeks, while others consider it up to a year. I'm going to keep this factual and not share my opinions about this, but
So that was one of the expert witnesses. And I find, after doing a little bit of research, I find he feels pretty credible, especially with the fact that he's treated over 80 cases of this and sat down and talked. He does have a book and quite a few peer-reviewed articles, papers that he's written on this. And then I have one more also for day 18. Let's see this one.
Clancy trial today put on their expert who has 1.4 stars literally out of 5 on Google. Here.
All right. So this was the prosecution's expert, and I thought this was kind of funny. Talking about postpartum and whatnot, and come to find out he doesn't even treat adults. He is a child psychiatrist, and he has an abysmal rating online for his services. I thought that was kind of funny, but it is very indicative to the state of Massachusetts. Can't seem to prosecute any case worth a fuck.
That's crazy.
They can't seem to prosecute anybody worth a fuck. So I thought this was
is his basic Google review page. Dr. Avram H. Mack, MD, medical doctor, 1.4 stars out of 5. He is a child psychiatrist in Washington, D.C. I want you guys to pay very close attention here. Child psychiatrist. Yes, you saw that right. A child psychiatrist. So what the hell is he doing talking about postpartum psychosis and postpartum depression, dealing with Lindsay Clancy, who is clearly not a child? He was also asked today on cross-examination with Reddington, whom, by the way, was on fire today, and started asking him questions about how many postpartum related patients have you seen? He said about 10. He goes, in what time period? He goes, since 2001. He has seen 10 postpartum related patients in the last 25 years. And by the way, more than half of them were adolescents. This is the expert, part of the rebuttal witnesses, which is supposed to be known as like the encore of the Commonwealth's case. Him. That's him. 1.4 out of 5 Google stars. Dealing with the child psychiatrist, talking about postpartum depression for Lindsay Clancy, who's clearly not a child, who has seen 10 patients in 25 years, most of which were adolescents. And that's the Commonwealth's expert. Where are we at here, guys?
1.5 on Google review is diabolical, y'all.
Right. The comments is like Steve Wilcox.
Funny as hell.
All secure looking dude.
Right. I do gotta say this, man. Like I said, man, I feel sorry for the kids. This nigga's a child psychiatrist and his ratings are 1.4. That is disturbing. What the hell is what's going on?
Right. And then he's only seen 10 postpartum patients in 25 years. 10, that's it. That's not even one a year.
Is Nancy broke? Because it sounds like she got a public defendant at this point. Does she got any money?
I think that's
that's the prosecution.
That's the prosecution. And they're not broke. Massachusetts got mad money, and this is the best that they can do. And they're paying thousands.
So come on, you're probably gonna get off. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, god
this
damn.
Is the type of work they were doing. Like, seriously? I don't know.
Jesus, what is the prosecution doing? We're doing a better job than them mother effers.
And with the amount of taxes that the state of Massachusetts pays, they can afford the best of the best. I mean, the motherfuckers pay taxes. I know every time I drive through, I feel like it costs me $20 just to cross the Tobin Bridge.
This is insane. Steve Wilkos is funny though.
Day 19, 19 days we've been on this jury. 19 days we've been reporting for jury duty. And today got crazy. Did y'all watch this? Today was insane. Let's just get right into it. Dr. Avram Mack. We started off with prosecution expert Dr. Avram Mack. He was back on the stand. His opinion is...
So that's the Steve Wilkoff guy we were just looking at.
Is that Lindsay suffered from major depressive disorder, but she wasn't psychotic, and she was still capable of understanding the wrongfulness of her actions. Reddington immediately went after Mack's experience with postpartum psychoses, and that's important because if you're the prosecution's expert telling the jury Lindsay wasn't experiencing postpartum psychoses, that's something that the jury's going to have to dissect and go through, you know what I mean? How much experience does he actually have diagnosing it is going to be the question. Then we got back to the episiotomy issue, and this, oh my God, almighty, this was too much. He refers to the episiotomy as a tear, and those of us in healthcare know that an episiotomy is an intentional surgical incision that occurs during childbirth. So he's testifying about the psychiatric condition of a postpartum woman while getting basic obstetrical terminology wrong. So that was a ding for me. Things got really tense after that. At one point, Mack appeared to smile during questioning, and Reddington stopped him and was like, "What are you smiling for? This isn't funny, sir. This isn't funny." And Sullivan had to intervene at least twice and tell him, if you can't answer the questions the way they're being asked, then just say you can't answer them. And the next question he goes, "Well, I can't answer that." It was a clusterfuck, okay? Eventually, Mack is done. The Commonwealth calls its next rebuttal expert, and that was Dr. Kirk Hellebrand. He's the forensic psychologist. He interviewed Lindsay for over 3 days in April, and Mack was actually present for 2 of those days. So they were both together for 2 out of the 3 days. He said he spent approximately 180 hours working on the case, but what immediately caught my attention was both of these prosecution experts have different diagnoses for Lindsay. Neither one of their diagnoses is the same. Mack says major depressive disorder, but Hellebrand says bipolar 2. That's significant. This entire trial, we've heard about whether Lindsay could have bipolar illness. We've heard about her antidepressant activation, the Zoloft, the Prozac. We've heard about periods where she was waking up early. She was, doing her Peloton. She was exercising. She was extremely productive. And now one of the Commonwealth's own experts has now diagnosed her with bipolar 2. That doesn't mean she was psychotic. It doesn't mean she was criminally responsible. But having the prosecution's 2 experts disagree about her diagnosis is something I think the jury obviously is going to notice, and it's very confusing. It's not a streamlined narrative. It's an opposite narrative. Then we got to the intrusive thoughts versus hallucinations. Hellebrand gets one of the biggest psychiatric questions of the case. Lindsay described previously disturbing thoughts that would pop into her head. Things like, your brain is damaged, you could unalive yourself. And Hellebrand says Lindsay recognized those as her own thoughts. Now, this is important because an intrusive thought you recognize as coming from your own mind is different from hearing a voice that you perceive from coming from the outside, okay? So Hellebrand testified that second scenario would be more consistent with a psychotic symptom. So the prosecution's argument is essentially Lindsay had horrible intrusive thoughts, but that doesn't mean she was hallucinating. And the defense is saying Lindsay's illness progressed, eventually culminating in the alleged command hallucinations on January 24th, where it was said, this is your last chance, unalive the children so you can unalive yourself. So the jury has to decide whether they believe that progression actually occurred. Then we got into McLean and the lack of documented psychoses. Hellebrand also discussed Lindsay's discharge from McLean. At discharge, she was described as a cooperative patient, no psychosis, no SI thinking, no unaliving thinking. Then approximately a week later, the SI thoughts returned. And this basically became one of the Commonwealth's strongest themes. Where is the documented psychoses before January 24th? But the defense's answer, does the absence of documented psychoses prove she couldn't become psychotic later? And that's really the battle of this whole case. Then Hellebrand explains why he thinks she unalived the children. This was probably one of the most important parts of today, and the part where I got the most upset. Hellebrand agreed that unaliving the children was completely out of character for Lindsay. There was no history of her abusing them. She never spanked them. Patrick and Lindsay had both said that even when they yelled at the children, they didn't like that. They felt uncomfortable. His opinion was that Lindsay unalived the children as part of a serious SI attempt. He believed she wanted the children to be with her because she didn't want them to suffer after she passed away. So we need to think about that. Even the Commonwealth's expert isn't describing a mother who hated her children. Neither side is. He's described as severely mentally ill and a woman with unaliving tendencies who believed that she was going to pass away and wanted her kids with her. But he still does not believe she meets the legal standard for lack of criminal responsibility, and that distinction is critical. But being severely mentally ill does not automatically make someone legally insane. 3, she's been on one-to-one watch for SI for 3 years now. For 3 years. And then we learned something else today. According to Hellebrand, Lindsay has remained on the one-to-one for the entire 3 years. The entirety of the 3 years. She's never been off of a one-to-one, okay? And according to his testimony, she still is, which we knew. She's still on the one-to-one. So she's never been alone, not once. So people are saying like, oh, you know, why didn't she? She can't. She's on a one-to-one. That's the point of a one-to-one. And then the day completely blew up. Completely blew up. Religion, the Catholic religion, yet again enters this fucking trial. Okay, which I'm tired of it, and I think everybody's tired of it. Remember Sue Clancy's testimony, where the prosecution previously brought up Catholicism and the concept of being a mortal sin. Okay, today Hellebrand begins discussing Lindsay's Catholic beliefs in relation to her thinking. He testified about asking Lindsay, who he understood to be a devout Catholic, about being a mortal sin. Objection, right away objection. Sidebar, okay? Sidebar. Reddington was furious, absolutely furious, as he should have been. The court has already dealt with religious testimony earlier in the trial, and his argument was essentially, you were already warned about this. You already were told not to do this. And now the Commonwealth rebuttal witness has put a mortal sin issue in front of the jury again. So what happens? This is where the tea really starts to boil. Reddington asks for a mistrial. Not just an objection, not just asking the judge to strike the testimony. He wants a fucking mistrial, okay? Reddington argued that what happened was serious enough that this trial should end and start over. Sullivan denied the motion. He decided he would give the jury a curative instruction telling them to disregard the religious testimony. He also instructed the Commonwealth to speak with their witnesses and make sure they don't go into that subject again. But we're at the end of the fucking trial. It's a little too late for that. The judge said he believed the jury could follow his instruction and that the court would try to minimize the damage. And then the jury was sent home. And that's where we are. That's how day 19 ended. So it was a clusterfuck yet again. Oh, and then we have, if you didn't see my previous video, then we have green dress. Brittany Romano green dress. Go watch my video before this. I can't even with.
All right, so Cabal, you're smiling at the accent. What do you think? Do you think she was hallucinating? Do you think it was intrusive thoughts? Do you think that just because I haven't gone batshit crazy doesn't mean I can't go batshit crazy?
That accent, man, shit. You turned off Ray FBA. He was like, man, that accent is something else. But I personally think I don't want to give this woman any excuses. Right? Mm-hmm. We gave Andrea Yates the same excuse, the postpartum excuse, or hallucination, or the what she gonna play? What is she, son of Sam? The voice of the man was actually a dog. She said, "Kill your kids."
I don't think they had a dog.
Man, they all have a dog. It just depends if the dog gonna run away before the shit go down. But this is my thing, right? I'm not gonna give excuse to this white lady that killed their kids when they didn't give an excuse for our black sister Sonia Massey, which had mental illness problems, and she got popped by you know who. I'm just done with that shit. No, none of these excuses. No. I know plenty of white folks that's on probably more drugs than what she was on. They ain't killing their peoples. Right? I'm just sick of it. No. Do your time, man. You killed your kids. You try to hang yourself. And I'm pretty sure it's because she wasn't getting any more of that Patrick meat. Patrick is her ex-husband, by the way. That's what I think. But that accent, man, Boston accent, that shit be funny as hell.
Gray, what do you think? Do you think if someone previously hadn't been psychotic or had psychosis, do you think is it possible for that to develop later on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to look at what's morally correct and what's lawfully correct. Because if we look at what's lawfully correct, she followed all of the procedures. And I'm not saying that she's right or wrong. She went, she got help, she went to these doctors, she did all these things. So in some aspects, the government is liable because she's the one going and go get all these psychiatric help getting all this medication. So what do we set a precedent for other people who are going through a psychosis? Because if she's hearing a voice, maybe she couldn't sleep, maybe she couldn't eat, maybe it was taking over her entire life. So what is a person supposed to do in that situation when they're going through this psychosis? And what does the law say when a person's going through this psychosis and they go through the procedures? What criminal liability is that person supposed to have? Because we do have the insanity plea. I know people don't agree with it, but that is a real thing. People go to court, and then if they're ruled insanity, then they go to a mental institution, and they may get out sooner. So I definitely think that a person can develop a psychosis later on, and I definitely feel like the insanity plea should be on the table for Lindsay Clancy.
I feel like that's fair. That's definitely fair. Skeptic, what do you think?
I think one of the things that I took away was that the DA doesn't seem to be taking this too seriously, or they're not putting their best foot forward, which I think is interesting, being that the whole nation is watching this case. I think that's a little bit odd. Also, with them introducing something that they had already agreed they weren't going to do, like the liability of that, why would you do that? I'm not understanding. It's almost like it's being done on purpose. And I feel like, premeditation is going to be harder to prove with all of the evidence that has been brought up. And whether we like it or not, the fact that, like you said, the toxicology shows very clearly that she was on 10 different medications, it's going to be hard. I do think, and this is from today, from listening to someone on TikTok again, that was saying that they were bipolar and they have had psychotic breaks, or they have had psychotic, whatever it's called. She was saying that she was on medication for it, which is like an antipsychotic and an SSRI. And she's saying that she was doing some things that she almost felt like it was like she was in a simulation or in a game, and it was happening to her. It wasn't like she was doing it, but she has memory of it. And so she was saying, like, when you have bipolar, there are different types of bipolar, but also when you have a psychotic break, like, you could remember what you're doing, and it almost feels like it's an out of body experience. Like, it's not that you're doing it, but like it's happening to you. So, I mean, I think it's interesting. And I think a lot of the evidence that was shown, I mean, I don't know. I also don't think that they have proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think they make closing statements on tomorrow, right? Thursday. So, I mean, we're pretty much at the end. I don't know. I mean, if she gets a non-guilty, who can you blame? The state didn't do such a good job.
I mean, and one of the biggest things too is, if we remember weeks ago, because obviously right now we're on like day fucking 20, but weeks ago we were listening to testimony from one of the practitioners, and they had stated her medication regimen that she was on, if she was bipolar, would have been contraindicated. It would not have been good for her. It would have exacerbated the symptoms. It would have made her worse. So, I mean, and the state even said, one of their, was it Helbian? He said he thought she had bipolar. So, I mean, why would you not consider, if you think she has bipolar, her course of treatment is proven to have negative effects if you're conditioned with bipolar. So the logical step would be, okay, so she has a diagnosis of bipolar. The medication she's taking is fucking her up even more because she has bipolar, and she's not meant to take the specific regimen of medications while having bipolar. Why would it not make her even crazier? Why would it not bring out a potential manic psychosis episode if you already think she's bipolar? And I don't think the state realized that. I don't think they've put those two together, but it's like, one of your witnesses stated this course of treatment is not recommended for bipolar. And then you put another witness at the end stating, hey, I think she has bipolar, after hearing the first witness say, well, if she has bipolar, this is going to make her infinitely worse. So I don't know. I don't think they've put those two and two together. It seems like the prosecution has done like a really shitty job of keeping their ducks in a row and making sure everybody's telling the same story, right? Because everybody's supposed to be telling the same story. Like their last two rebuttal witnesses had two different diagnoses. That shouldn't happen. Why would they? And they interviewed together. They interviewed her together. So why would they not have the same story, come to the same conclusion? It just doesn't make sense to me. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense.
Do y'all think this shit kind of planned though? This shit kind of seemed weird. The prosecution is this bad.
It's Massachusetts. You should have watched the Karen Reed trial. she got a not guilty. This is Massachusetts. It's like one of the most racist, discriminatory, good old boys club. Massachusetts reminds me a lot of like the Bible Belt, the Deep South. Like if you are a police officer, if you work in like the county attorney's office, if you are a judge or a lawyer, they're all interconnected and they all work together outside of like the criminal justice system. They all do whatever the fuck they want. They're all cousins, bro.
They are all fucking cousins. You cannot go anywhere in Massachusetts and not run into a fucking Patty O'Neill and not have him have 20 fucking cousins. And they're all police officers. I've never seen anything like it. Literally, everybody's a cousin. Everybody's married to somebody's cousin, to someone else's cousin. They are all related. They're all in law enforcement. And that's why they're allowed to do fucked up shit, because they control the entire justice system, period. You'll never see anything like it anywhere else. It's fucked.
I agree with you. Shout out Ray FBA for the 10 jewels. Appreciate it, bro. I just find it weird though, because it's like at the end of the day, if there's so much like this Bible stuff or whatever, they must not give a fuck about kids because she killed her kids. That's the main thing though, right? And this ain't really, to me, this ain't really race related, right? It's a white woman that killed her kids. So that's why I'm kind of confused on this shit. It's like, I feel like they're purposely doing this shit so she can get off. I'm trying to figure out what message are they trying to send to us with this, right?
Allegedly, you might be onto something, because allegedly Patrick, her former husband, his brother, and his family are all in law enforcement in that area, in that like Plymouth County area. They're all already in law enforcement. Like I said,
okay.
It's all interconnected. You can't go nowhere in Massachusetts without running into Tom, Dick, and Harry, and they're all fucking cousins. And if they're not cousins, they're married to Barbara, and Barbara's fucking cousin is her husband's a police officer 2 counties over, literally. And if they're not in the police force, they're in the union. Is it? There's only 2 jobs in Massachusetts. You're either in law enforcement or you're a union if you're white. Period. Full stop.
Yeah. I feel what you're saying. Ray, I feel what you're saying too, bro. So at the end of the day, it probably seems like her ex-husband's still trying to help her out in a sense. If he
wasn't that stated?
All the law enforcement,
yeah,
right?
Wasn't it stated that they still have a good relationship, her ex-husband and her? He still like basically puts money in her books, or I don't know. Somehow that he's not like, which I also think is kind of odd. I don't know. There's a lot of weird things going on in this case, but I agree with you, Kamal. I think that it seems like this is being done on purpose. And then didn't they say that supposedly either the DA or someone related to the DA bought their house?
Yeah.
Where all of that happened? Where the babies were unalived? Why would you
private sale?
What?
That's so weird. Right. Like the person allegedly that bought the house, private sale, worked at the DA's office. So you have intimate knowledge of like a freaking triple homicide that happened and an attempted suicide on top of that, like triple homicide, and you're gonna buy the fucking house again. Bizarre. Like makes no sense at all.
Yeah, Ray bring up a good point though. It's like if the Patrick dude is doing this, you're supporting like the murder of your kids. Like this shit is mind-boggling now. It's like getting deeper into this case. Like what?
And his parents testified, I would say, on her behalf. I mean, like her former mother-in-law had nothing but amazing things to say about her. Not a single person that has got on the stand, like somebody who actually knew her, not an expert witness, but like somebody who actually knew her, has ever said a single negative thing. Patrick's father said nothing but positive things. Patrick's mother said nothing but positive things. I mean, every single person that knows her, like on a more personal, intimate level, has said nothing but positive things about her. Not a single one of them has said anything negative at all whatsoever. And you think grandma lost 3 grandkids, and she doesn't even seem to hold a grudge. And obviously Patrick lost 3 kids. He don't seem to hold a grudge. And then Patrick's dad obviously lost 3 grandkids, and he don't seem to hold a grudge. Like, nobody seems to hold a grudge, which is kind of weird, because I don't know. Like, if my kids ended up dead, I might hold a fucking grudge. I would have probably killed the motherfuckers that killed them. No guarantee I wouldn't do it. So it is kind of interesting how nobody seems to be holding a grudge at all whatsoever. It's like water under the bridge.
Mia, do you know how to pull up comments yet?
Yeah, do you want me to highlight?
Pull up Ray Ray's last comment. Because you in the conspiracies and shit. Skeptic, I think you in the conspiracies too. I mean, what y'all think about this comment right here, though?
I don't know. I mean, I go by the what the evidence has shown. It is odd. You know what I mean? Like it is odd. The way that they handled, the way that they're interconnected with each other, the fact that I think they asked the question, and I think Patrick basically said, "We're not like in bad standings. I'm sorry if you unalive my kids." I don't know what kind of stand. I don't know. It's very odd. There's a lot of odd things going on. I don't know.
But I'm not saying Patrick did it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm not saying he was happy that it was done. But I will say that he has, since his children are now deceased, he has done nothing but live his best life. He has not acted like a grieving father at all whatsoever. And I'm sure everybody grieves differently. He could be grieving in private. Obviously, none of us know that. But I will say actions speak a lot louder than words. And he is living his best life. I don't know. If my spouse murdered my 3 children, I definitely would be moving really drastically. I would probably be in a mental institution. I'm going to be honest. I would probably be in a mental institution, like, on God. I don't even know how I would be able to function. I can't go 1 hour without thinking about my kids or seeing what they're doing or checking in on them or whatnot. So I couldn't imagine not having them at all in this mortal plane. Man, I check on my dog like every 5 minutes. I'm like, Ollie, Salem, what are you doing? And I'm constantly checking on my fucking dogs. I couldn't imagine surviving my 3 children and basically just living life like nothing happened. Moving, new spouse, potential new baby, going on vacations in multiple places, running races, hanging down at the boat and yacht club, boating, just like living La Vida Loca.
Don't forget the dog. New dog.
New dog. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm just saying he seems to have a much better life now than he did when his children were alive and when he was actively married to Lindsay.
So let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think she's gonna be guilty or not? And if so, what y'all think her sentence gonna be?
I'm 50-50 on it. I think it could go either way. If they're still trying to prove that it was first degree murder, I think that's going to be hard because they didn't really show intent. She has reasonable doubt. She has the toxicology report that she was on medication. She has all these contradictions. The contradictions themselves tell you that she was not, nobody knew what to treat her for. They were guessing. So potentially they could have made a mistake. She could have been, here's the outcome of the mistake. She's in a very fragile state of mind. If you make a mistake and you misdiagnose her and you mismedicate her, that could be the reason why you have this outcome. Like, there's a lot of questions that are still remaining, and they've already like they were gonna do closing statements. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know that it's in the bag to put it like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I honestly think she's going to end up getting a not guilty by insanity, and she's going to go to a mental hospital. I don't think the prosecution has done a really good job of stating that she was, at the moment that those murders were done, that she was mentally competent and was in the right frame of mind and knew everything that she was doing, because, you know, we have come to find out that the internet searches that they were talking about that they said were her weren't actually her. They were her husband, her former husband at the time, was making those internet searches. So, I mean, that's bare bones, basic detective work. So now if they're dropping the ball with something that should be easy for them to trace back, what else have they dropped the ball on? You know what I mean? It kind of calls a lot of different things into question. If you fuck up something easy, I'm going to assume all the shit's fucked up now, because you can't do your job over something simple. I do.
Yeah, I can see that. Great. What you think, bro? You think guilty, not guilty?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have to see the closing remarks. But as far as her going to get help, I think that's going to help her with the insanity plea prior to the court case.
Oh, I think she gonna get hit with the not guilty, the insanity thing, and then she's gonna be able to spend all that money that she raised. That shit crazy. Would that money go to her? Would they stop that from her getting that money if she's insane, right?
Well, I know the husband is suing on behalf of the kids, like a trust on behalf of the kids. I don't even know if she's part of that. That civil lawsuit, I don't know if she's even part of it. I know he's suing on like behalf of the children. I'm not sure if she's
even suing the state or the federal government.
He's suing I think he's suing the 2 hospitals and then all of like the medical providers that were giving her the prescriptions. I don't think he's suing the state.
Okay. Damn, that's real interesting. Okay.
Because I don't think the hospitals that she went to weren't like state hospitals or anything like that. They were private organizations, like private nonprofit organizations. So I know she went to South Shore, she went to McLean. She went to like Brigham and Women's, like Mass General. So those are private entities. So I think that is who he is suing, plus like the individual providers, which they all have their own coverage for this sort of shit. So, I mean, their insurance coverage will kick in and do a payout. So even if he more than likely they'll settle outside of court, probably after the verdict for this. So if she gets a not guilty by reason of insanity, I can guarantee that civil suit will probably be settled out of court, because that will only strengthen his civil case stating, hey, criminal court found her not liable because she was insane. And part of that was like the medication regimen and like the mismanagement of her like medical care. So I have a feeling that if she does get a not guilty, the civil case will probably be settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, and they'll sign NDAs. So we'll never really know.
That's crazy because he benefits. Sorry. But like the whole time, the only person that came out, it's terrible to put it like that, but like with some sort of benefit is him. You're single, you like all these things, and you got a whole new wife, like you've just moved on. And somebody had said, I don't know if this is true, but they had said that he had some kind of charity event for children or something, but still, I just feel like the actions afterwards have been very questionable. Like 4 months after you're married, you've moved on. It's crazy.
Yeah, everybody grieves differently. We learned that with Miss Erica Kirk. They told us everybody grieves differently. We've learned that with Miss Erica Kirk. Some of us wear hot pants. Some of us, touch on other married people. Some of us come out to pyrotechnics. Some people go to Thailand and, get married 4 months later and move and start a whole new life. I don't know. Everybody grieves differently. It's just one of those things.
That's crazy saying that. She popped
No one
in my
does that
head.
old school
immediately.
grieving anymore.
Yeah, nobody does the regular cry
Don't
and
cry.
not be productive and be depressed, and nobody does that anymore. Everybody just like pops ass and hangs out and does like the pyrotechnics and shit. I don't know.
Nah, 2026 grieving, you getting paid.
Right.
You getting
Everybody,
some money.
everybody
Damn.
grieves differently. So I found this interesting clip before we finish.
Is when her husband came home and found Lindsay on the ground in the snow after she had jumped out the window. He spoke with her, is what you told this jury. Right?
Yes.
And can you tell us again what it is that he said to her and what she said to him?
He's talking about Patrick
He said,
speaking with her.
What did you do? And she said, I tried to kill myself. And then he said, where are the kids? And she said, in the basement.
Now, what is your source of that information, sir?
It was in the records, and I also did a collateral interview with Patrick Clancy.
Did you listen to the 911 tape?
No, I did not.
If I tell you, would you be surprised, sir, that she had significant damage, not only to her back, her spine, and was hemorrhaging, but also to her throat?
No, I would not be surprised. She injured herself very badly when she jumped out that window.
If I suggest to you, sir, that if you listen to the 911 tape as it relates to Patrick Clancy interacting with her, that she can only make grunting noises, would you be surprised at that?
I would be surprised, yes.
And you never listened to that tape?
I did not.
So I thought that was interesting. One of the biggest bones of contention a lot of people point out is the fact that Patrick stated when he got on scene, she was able to speak. She was able to articulate what she had done and that the children were in the basement, which is what he had articulated to police. But given everything that we know about her condition, what was happening, and the fact that there's no proof that she made these statements, the police just took his word and assumed she was the one that murdered those children and threw herself out of the window, right? So the police showed up on scene with 3 dead kids and a half-dead woman and took the only person who it was alive and well to tell the tale. But now they've pretty much proven that he lied. He didn't tell the truth. She wasn't able to speak. Not a single medical professional heard her speak. None of the EMTs all stated she could not speak. She could make grunting noises, but she couldn't actually speak. She could not articulate the children are in the basement, or I tried to kill myself, or anything like that. So it's interesting that he would lie about something like that. Like, why would you lie?
Because you're guilty. I don't believe him.
Again, reason for me, it's reasonable doubt. It's a reasonable doubt because the police got there and they believed Patrick. They believed that she made those statements. And then come to find out, she physically wasn't able to make those statements. So basically, you have 3 dead kids and a half-dead woman, and you didn't even investigate any other angle. You just took one person's word for it. There's no other prior, no other looking into it, no other checking, nothing else.
So you saying he lied on the stand right there? That's when he lied, or?
So he's pointing out that this man never listened to the 911 phone call, and that he is trying to, in a roundabout way, point out that Patrick is lying, that Lindsay was not able to articulate those sentences and say the kids are in the basement or I tried to kill myself or anything like that. He's doing it in a way that isn't going to get an objection or a sidebar from the prosecution.
There are certain injuries where people can speak. There's certain ones where it's like, it was probably close to impossible for you to say anything. And if she was speaking, you would think that once she gets taken into the ambulance or, she's being treated, she would be speaking. So she just spoke to him and then couldn't speak after. It's a little questionable.
Right, considering she ended up coding and technically she died twice after that. So it's like, okay. Just like a lot of weird pieces that just don't make sense, don't add up. It's like, well, you're supposed to, there's reasonable doubt. There's enough reasonable doubt to where she should get a not guilty, or it should be a mistrial and it should be a hung jury, and we should have to come back and force them to get their ducks in a row. Because at this point in time, there is reasonable doubt. There's a lot of loose ends. However, we've been on this for like almost 2 hours. Told you, hate to keep you guys this long. I told you it's going to be a long episode. I had a lot of clips and we had to go over 3 cases. So let's do our closing thoughts, my dear. Oops, hold on. Skeptic, what do you think?
I will say, if you are in a toxic relationship, please just leave. I will second what Gray said. Just go. Don't get other people involved. Don't hurt anyone, because don't fight. This is what I've learned the older I get. I now get it. I'm getting in the age where I'm not a young hoe anymore. You have to mature, try to de-escalate. Don't escalate things because you don't know where they're going to go. And just know that we're going to be back next Wednesday because we're going to know how this ends. So we need the part 4. So we will see you back here on Wednesday for True Crime Wednesday.
Gray, what do you think?
Mental health is a real thing. If you're having issues, go get help. And with all of these cases, it was relationship-based things going on. So you should have a partner that can help you going through these things. With the guy that, with his family, he should have been able to go to his family. The other couple should have broke up. And with his Lindsay Clancy thing, somebody should have been a mature parent. So True Crime Wednesdays, have a good night.
Kamal.
All right, y'all go hit the notification bell for the new party. Go follow them, hit them with a sub, hit the likes, get the reposts happening. If y'all want to come over to my end, y'all see it down there. YouTube, it's Kamal Johnson, you feel me? Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Beans, man. Shout out to you, brother. You feel me? I saw your message earlier. You know what I mean? Yeah, this was a very great episode. I like this. Like, some of the stories that you're bringing me, like, I actually be reading up on them when I be reading these like publications and like the Washington Post or like goddamn New York Times and stuff, because they be having them in like the small little sectors of their little websites on the digital form of the game. But yeah, hey, if you in a toxic relationship, it might be passionate from what we heard today. You know, it might be some great love and passion, but you might get stabbed. Also, Berber was 44 years old and lived in his basement. That should have been the parent sign right there. Like, all right, our kid might be a little disturbed. Was the nigga playing Roblox or Roblox, whatever that game is called, in his drawers and shit too? Like, I'm telling you, white folks, y'all something else. Goodness gracious. And then now, after hearing that Patrick lied, now I'm all confused, because at first I was gung-ho about Lindsay Clancy being like, all right, she done killed her kids and did all this, but now we learning about there's a big money element to all this shit. And then he lied about the whole thing about her talking, but the police report saying it was a bunch of grunts and stuff like that. And the way he kind of going about it, about putting money on her books and helping her out, and he all in cahoots with the law enforcement and shit. Send both they ass to jail, goddamn it, at this point. God damn. But I will say, I don't want to give no more excuses to people. You feel me? If black folks can't get it excuses when it comes to mental health, fuck all giving them excuses to them folks. I appreciate everybody on the panel. Appreciate the chat. Y'all have a great night.
All right, so my final thoughts are I love True Crime Wednesdays. Thank you everybody for being here. I greatly appreciate it. If you can like and subscribe to the channel, I will be hosting every Wednesday for True Crime Wednesdays, and I will have my trusty whiteboard and I will bring some of the crime that's happening around the country in the United States and covering, as you see, some popular trials that we have going on. I'm so glad that this has been helpful and expanding everybody's knowledge base, and we are kind of learning about this together and following this. This has been great. This was a very good episode. So like I said, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please do that. You can always find me and my content. I'm very heavily active on TikTok. It's Mia, not Maya. Definitely come follow me. I will be adding some of these clips to my own, but yes, definitely come follow me. I do hop on various lives and you can ask questions, and don't be afraid to reach out to the new party on TikTok as well. Please do follow us on there. We would love to hear from you guys. And if any of you have any true crime that's happened in your town that you want us to cover, please do reach out to the new party on X, on TikTok, and here on YouTube. We can do some research and we may be able to bring a particular case that you may like to the forefront and we can cover it. Our DMs are always open. And as always, I hope everybody has a good night. And Gray always says, always vote. So I will say that right now because we do have the midterms coming up.
Sisters,
We shall not yield to tyranny.
our cause just we will prevail. The fight
Hello,
for our
history
rights.
buffs.
Ready for a journey back? Look at this encampment. The spirit of 76 is alive.
Bobby, at this
Hello,
point,
history.
shame on you. Shame on you. Because we are being played as the American people. Our money is funding a war that we don't need to be in. Shouldn't be okay with it. So as long as I have breath in my body and a mic to use, I will be speaking out against this.
A true patriot savors these moments, but the fight for liberty calls.
The economy, we have a global economy that's we're the number one economy in the world. I know that a lot of people want to paint the horrible view of America, but you know, go live somewhere else and then tell me America's bad.
Patriotism is all about. Look at these flags. They represent our fight for liberty. This is what
so
American
freaking crazy to me that we have an conflict with Iran before a single person from the Epstein files has been arrested on American soil.
The hour our liberty is at hand. For freedom is brava. Brothers
I
and
was
sisters.
working, man, you know, but it's good to see Rippy out there handling business, man. And again, hey, there's a lot of black Trump supporters, man. I mean, it feels good to see that, man. So I'm...
My fellow patriots, the hour of decision is upon us. Let us march forth with courage to secure our liberty.
A real coach. People are getting sick of it. The moment a celebrity steps slightly outside the leftist approved narrative, they get attacked. Chili from TLC gets heat over allegedly donating to Donald Trump.
For liberty. The British advance. We must act.
Our supplies are low, but morale is high.
Then we fight for liberty.
Alpayne's word captures the spirit of we fight for independence.
With
Welcome to my
that said they were anti-war. I think they said no new wars. Yeah, they voted for a president that was not going to start any new wars. And what's funny to me is that not only were you lied to, not only did this man start this and get out of the
freedom. Greetings from the encampment. The spirit of liberty is strong. We will fight for our rights and our freedom.
Just in order to get the Greater Israel Project accomplished, you have to kill people. That's why it's wrong. Killing people is wrong. Full stop. So you can try to make sense of it with, well, it's a threat and this and that. There's no greater threat than the United States empire.
Vocabulary up because I'm throwing out words like hubris, acquiesce, verbose. What are you going to do about the dichotomy of the nuance?
To the encampment. For liberty.
And what I've learned, and I'm not a liberal or a Democrat. I voted for Trump the first time, but he's become a politician. He lies like all the other politicians. He deceives like all the other politicians.
And flaming! Soldiers, the enemy is near.
Not only do I love my FBA fam, my Black American fam, my Black people on code, you know, my people that's allies with us, as part of the fam. I love y'all. I love my country too. You feel me?
The cause to victory.
To victory. These pastries are wonderful.
Indeed, but we must stay vigilant.